Before we get into the video, could everyone please subscribe to my FXmovies.20 channel? Thank you so much. Greetings. Life frequently presents unexpected surprises. That is precisely what transpired on an otherwise mundane Wednesday evening. I had just returned from work, my heels clicking against the wooden floor as I entered the house. The day had been lengthy and exhausting, and all I desired was to unwind in a hot bath and allow the stress to dissipate. Little did I realize that evening would leave an indelible mark on my life, altering the trajectory of everything in our home. Please subscribe to my channel so I can continue to share captivating, authentic stories like this one. Don't forget to watch this video. Please watch till the end and kindly like the video as this narrative is pretty captivating. Click the like button to show your support. The home was quiet upon my arrival, as was typical. My husband, Thomas, had mentioned earlier that he would be attending a late meeting. He had been working extensive hours recently to fulfill a significant project deadline, leaving just Logan present. Thomas's child from his prior marriage is at home. Logan, 20, was a reserved yet charismatic young man who seldom caused trouble. He was employed part-time at the local hardware store and devoted much of his free time to his room. Although we were not particularly close, we maintained a cordial friendship founded on mutual respect. I had always perceived him as someone who valued his privacy and solitude, much like his father. I had grown accustomed to the tranquility of the house when it was just the two of us. As I placed my suitcase on the kitchen counter and poured myself a drink of water, I noticed Logan's pickup parked in the driveway, which struck me as peculiar since he often worked the late shift. I casually called out his name, and my voice reverberated through the empty home, but there was no response. I dismissed it, assuming he was in his room, perhaps listening to music or asleep. After finishing my water, I decided to go upstairs and change into something more comfortable. After such a long day, all I desired was rest. As I passed the bathroom, I heard the faint sound of running water and observed the slightly ajar door, which I found unusual. Logan was meticulous regarding privacy. He consistently secured doors firmly, particularly the bathroom door, which captured my attention. I hesitated briefly before gently opening it farther, and what I observed caused me to stop abruptly. Logan stood by the sink, his back to me, shoulders slumped, indicating intense concentration. His movements were awkward, nearly frantic, and I noted he was shirtless with his pants sagging loosely at his hips. He appeared to be holding a washcloth, cleaning something out of view. The creak of the door startled him. He turned, his eyes wide with fear. "Oh my God, I did not hear you come," he exclaimed, his voice quivering. I was equally shocked, shifting my glance between him and the washcloth as a sense of anxiety washed over me. Upon entering, I was confronted. I was met with an unexpected sight, and I felt a profound sense of remorse for my intrusion. I muttered my apologies, diverting my gaze. I did not intend to invade. I swiftly stepped back, my heart racing, and reached for the doorknob, prepared to withdraw and grant him the privacy he evidently sought. However, before I could secure the door, Logan's voice disrupted my thoughts. He inquired, his tone pleading. "It is not as you perceive. Contemplate." I halted, my hand over the door. Part of me wanted to escape down the passage and feign that nothing had transpired, while another part was captivated. His voice did not reflect the defensiveness of an individual apprehended in wrongdoing. Rather, it was imbued with humiliation and misery. Despite my better judgment, I turned to confront him, my gaze focused on his features. "Okay," I murmured cautiously in an effort to preserve a neutral tone. Logan observed, his cheeks flushed a deep scarlet as he seemed to be searching for the perfect words. His hands fumbled with the washcloth. Finally, he exhaled deeply and stated, "I was uncertain whom else to consult regarding your specific inquiry." Apply gentle pressure. My fascination intensified. Despite the unfavorable circumstances, he shifted uncomfortably and averted eye contact. "It is personal," he said. "I have been grappling with certain issues, and I am uncertain about how to proceed. Dad, he is absent, and you are my sole confidant." I was taken aback by his vulnerability. Logan had consistently upheld his autonomy, seldom revealing personal details. The notion that he sought my assistance caused me to hesitate. I entered the bathroom and closed the door partially to ensure our privacy. I stated this while maintaining a neutral tone. "Why don't you inform me about what is occurring?" Logan hesitated before attempting to explain. Initially, his words were unclear as he grappled with articulating the anguish he was enduring. I listened attentively as I endeavored to comprehend his words. It became apparent that this was a sensitive topic, one he felt too mortified to discuss with his father. While he spoke, I experienced a profound sense of empathy. It is never simple to request assistance, particularly regarding personal matters. I could perceive the tension in his eyes, reflecting the internal struggle between the desire for support and the fear of judgment. After a moment of contemplation, I stated, "First and foremost, it is commendable that you are paying attention to these things. It indicates your concern for your health. Furthermore, there is no shame in seeking clarification or assistance." Logan looked up at me, his eyes brimming with gratitude and relief. I told him that it is not unusual to have inquiries about one's body. It is a common occurrence. Subsequently, I dedicated several minutes to providing him with the most informed guidance I could offer. Drawing from my skills and experience, I endeavored to maintain the topic's realism and clarity, eliminating any elements that would exacerbate his discomfort. The conversation initially commenced awkwardly, yet it soon became evident that it provided significant relief for him. As the dialogue progressed, the initial discomfort dissipated, and Logan seemed to relax. By the conclusion of our exchange, he appeared grateful for the companionship, exhibiting a greater sense of ease and even managing a slight smile. "Thank you," he responded softly, his voice almost a whisper. I did not believe I could disclose anyone regarding this matter. I reciprocated his smile, happy that the tension had dissipated. "You're welcome, Logan. Remember that it is always proper to seek aid. No one possesses all the answers." Upon exiting the restroom, I experienced a strange amalgamation of emotions. On one hand, I felt satisfaction. I aimed to support Logan during his time of need. However, the incident was so unforeseen and atypical that I was uncertain how to address it. The occurrence seemed significant, as if it signified a shift in our relationship, yet I was unclear about its implications or how it would unfold in the ensuing days. I attempted to disregard the peculiar sensation while I proceeded with my evening, although it lingered in my thoughts like a shadow. The home was tranquil, accompanied just by the soft hum of the air conditioner. Thomas returned home tardily that night, fatigued yet content. He remained entirely unaware of the peculiar conversation that transpired during his absence. As I reclined in bed, gazing at the ceiling, I found myself reflecting on the evening's events. Something had shifted, though I could not precisely identify what. All I understood was that life in our household would never return to its previous state. In the days that followed, the unforeseen interactions were, to say the least, atypical. In fact, everything appeared normal on the surface. Thomas proceeded with his duties as customary. Logan adhered to his part-time work and academic schedule, while I managed my domestic and professional responsibilities. But beneath the surface, an unspoken yet palpable tension existed between us. We were not simply more aware of each other's vulnerabilities, it was of greater profundity. A transformation in the relationship occurred, leaving me uncertain about how to navigate it. Logan had consistently evaded me, obscuring most aspects of his life. Our interactions, though amicable, had remained superficial. However, following our discussion in the restroom, I perceived a newfound level of understanding between us, one that was both disconcerting and oddly comforting. I found myself contemplating him excessively, not out of maternal concern, but with astonishment at my previous ignorance of this facet of his character. I realized that Logan was more than merely the recent young man who isolated himself. He possessed a profound emotional landscape that I had only begun to grasp. Logan's behavior became increasingly. On Friday evening, Thomas departed to meet a customer as I prepared dinner. Logan had not yet returned from his job at the hardware store. As I was chopping vegetables, I heard his pickup truck enter the driveway. I paused, knife suspended in midair, contemplating how to greet him. The awkwardness that had developed between us over the past few days had created a barrier that I was unsure how to dismantle. When the front door opened, I said, "Hey, Logan," attempting to appear nonchalant. He refrained from responding immediately. However, I heard his footsteps as he approached the kitchen. He appeared fatigued yet managed a faint smile. "Hey," he said softly. "What's for dinner?" I smiled in return, gratified that he was not as aloof as he had been in recent days. "Merely some spaghetti. Are you experiencing hunger?" "Indeed, I am experiencing hunger," he replied, moving to the counter to fetch a drink of water. Initially, we dined in silence, the only sound being the clinking of forks against plates. However, I noticed Logan seemed more at ease than he had been in days. His smile appeared more authentic, and his posture was less tense. He sat down, his fork in hand, and looked at me, a faint blush coloring his cheeks. He commenced by reflecting on my remarks from the previous evening. I hesitated briefly before proceeding, and I wish to express my gratitude once more for your attentive listening. I raised my eyes from my plate and caught his stare. The sincerity of his words was sufficient to calm my emotions. I had anticipated this moment, contemplating a response while feeling happy that he felt secure enough to communicate naturally. "Logan," I stated, my tone subdued, "I am pleased to have been of assistance." Although there was another prolonged wait, I did not have the same level of discomfort as previously. It appeared as though we were genuinely conversing instead of only occupying the silence with courteous conversation. "You have consistently shown me kindness," he remarked, his tone now gentler, "and I wish for you to understand that I value it." I acquiesced with hesitation, unsure how to convey the significance of his remarks to me. "I comprehend that it is not consistently simple," I contributed after a minute, "but I am glad you recognize that you can communicate with me at any moment." He smiled once more, this time with greater intensity. Unperturbed, he acknowledged my comment while reaching for another slice of spaghetti. As dinner progressed, our conversations became increasingly casual. We conversed about his education, his part-time employment, and the latest Netflix series we were both viewing. This represented a modest yet significant advancement. Logan was gradually becoming more forthcoming despite the initial awkwardness of our dialogue. Later that evening, after we finished eating, I reclined on the couch to unwind. Logan retreated to his room with a book, leaving his football gently on the floor. I pondered whether he was still processing. The subsequent several days were largely similar. Thomas arrived home later each night due to the escalating demands of his employment. Logan, although less aloof than previously, nonetheless maintained a degree of solitude. In several aspects, we engaged in succinct yet significant discussions throughout dinner, and he seemed more comfortable in my presence. Nonetheless, an underlying tension persisted that neither of us was inclined to address. Logan executed an entirely unforeseen action on one of those tranquil evenings, approximately 1 week following our conversation in the restroom. As evening approached, I was ensconced on the couch viewing the latest episode of a drama when Logan unexpectedly appeared in the doorway. His expression was enigmatic. "May I speak with you?" he queried, his voice just above a whisper, prompting me to sit up suddenly, contemplating. He, of course, anticipated the arrival and halted before fully entering the room. He exhibited a worried demeanor, his posture tense as if uncertain of what to articulate. "What is on your mind?" I queried gently, aiming to create a safe atmosphere for him. Logan shifted his weight from one foot to the other, momentarily avoiding my gaze before responding. "I have been contemplating the matters I previously spoke with you about, and I feel compelled to inform Dad. Although I am uncertain of the approach, I believe it is essential for him to comprehend my current struggles." As I was taken aback by his remarks, he was now more vulnerable than he had been before. This represented progress, as he was acknowledging responsibility for his emotions and conceding that he required assistance from Thomas in addition to myself. I smiled, intending to console him. "Logan, this is a significant advancement, and I am confident that Thomas will appreciate your approach. It is challenging yet essential." He nodded, his eyes meeting mine, revealing a flicker of gratitude, indicating that the choice to engage in conversation with Thomas was challenging for him. However, he had progressed significantly. He murmured softly, "I do not wish to create any awkwardness between us. I recognize that circumstances have changed recently." I shook my head, experiencing a wave of affection for him. "It is not peculiar in the least," I informed him. "Logan, we are united as family regardless of the circumstances. We consistently assist each other." He bestowed upon me a slight smile and inclined his head before departing. He expressed gratitude for everything, uttering his thanks over his shoulder as he left the room. I exhaled a breath I had not realized I was holding. I experienced a profound sense of pride for him as he was acquiring the skills to speak, seek assistance, and regulate his emotions in a constructive way. The following day, Thomas returned home from work earlier than usual, and I observed fatigue on his face, leading me to perceive it as a significant moment in his development. His footsteps were gentle as he entered the door. "Hey," he muttered, placing his bag at the entrance. "How are things?" "Good," I remarked with a smile. However, I suspected Logan was contemplating something. As Thomas raised his eyebrow, he asked, "What is your meaning?" "He has exhibited increased openness lately," I said, "and he expressed a desire to discuss something significant with you." Thomas's expression relaxed, revealing a blend of apprehension and anticipation. "I shall speak to him," he asserted with serene confidence in his tone. "Thank you for informing me." That evening, following dinner, Thomas and Logan convened in the living room. I could not discern much of their conversation, but I observed Logan leaning in and engaging fervently with his father. Thomas attentively observed his look, which was imbued with both concern and affection. I noted that Logan's progression into adulthood represented a pivotal moment in their connection, and Thomas was ready to engage with him. As time went on and life returned to its usual rhythm, Logan indicated that the tension diminished. He no longer evaded my presence, and I observed that while he was still processing his previous statements, he seemed more at ease and authentic. Thomas and Logan devoted additional time to one another, thereby fortifying their bond. Thomas evidently endeavored to be more engaged with his child. One weekend, Thomas proposed a day trip to the lake, aiming to enhance our camaraderie, which I deemed a wonderful suggestion. The weather was optimal, characterized by clear blue skies and a gentle breeze. We prepared a picnic, drove to the lake, and spent the day unwinding and enjoying ourselves. We engaged in hours of swimming, playing frisbee, and lounging on the beach. Logan seemed really delighted, smiling and jesting with Thomas in a manner I had never witnessed before. Observing their interaction filled my heart with joy, and I hoped this trip would signify a pivotal moment for all of us. As the sun began to set, casting golden hues over the lake, we sat on the beach, savoring the final moments of the day. Thomas had succumbed to slumber on a blanket, his snores harmonizing with the sound of the waves. Logan and I sat a few feet apart, gazing at the horizon. "Thank you for joining us today," he mumbled after an extended silence. "It has been delightful simply to spend time together." I smiled and experienced a wave of tranquility. "I am pleased. We ought to engage in activities like this more frequently," I said. He often nodded, his attention directed towards the ocean. "Indeed, I feel that is beneficial." We remained silent for a while longer, our unspoken understanding permeating the stillness. Upon Thomas's awakening, we gathered our possessions and drove home, filled with laughter and reminiscences from the day. That night, as I lay in bed beside Thomas, I contemplated our family's progress. The past 2 weeks had been challenging, yet they also united us in unforeseen ways. Logan's odyssey was not yet complete, but I was certain that he and we were progressing correctly.